afternoon, everyone. Welcome to. Oh, let me adjust my headset here. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to What's Distance Education and ENG3E, Wausau's Grade 11 Workplace English. So today we're going to dig in to key question number 6 a little deeper. I have a special exercise for you today um, where we are going to have a look at or start by reading first um, a student's submission for a similar type of essay. And then we are going to give some feedback on it and assessment, and then make suggestions on how that particular student can uh, follow several steps, a number of different steps to make it a better essay, right? So there's many of the things that we're going to be discussing here um, are pitfalls of most students, especially in 3E classes. Well, you know what? All English classes across board. There is something here for everyone at every different level. So, if you can remember from yesterday when we introduced this key question, the context of this key question number 6, the culminating activity for unit number 1, is to write an essay. The description is found on page 39. I went through that yesterday. We will just read the first paragraph here to refresh your memory. Your culminating activity for this opening unit of the course will be to develop a short essay giving you the opportunity to answer the questions outlined in the description section back on page 7. You were encouraged then to ask and answer questions about yourself and your goals in life, who you are, who are the people who have shaped you, how do you help shape the world around you. And some of the topics that you're asked to include in your essay are early family life, friends in elementary, high school, special events remembered, favorite pastimes growing up, a trip taken with family and or friends, community involvement, either volunteered or paid, people who you look up to, accomplishments over the years, and plans, if any, for the near future. Okay, so this is essay needs to be roughly 2 pages. The rough copy best be handwritten, but you can also type it out on the keyboard if you want as a computer printout. You also need to include a title page with your name, the course, and date on it, and then your final copy. So the rubric is found on page 41 here. So, without too much more ado, then we will have a look at the submission of another student. Let me bring that up for you here. Where are we? Okay, so here is an essay that's been submitted previously. I'm going to enlarge it here for you so it's easier for us to read. And we're going to read through this. And I want you to think while you're reading it, is there anything here that sticks out that doesn't seem quite right in this essay? When I think about my early family life, I guess it was pretty normal, although sometimes it felt kind of confusing. We lived in a small house, and my parents were usually busy, but they always tried to make time to take us places. Even though I don't remember all of it very well, my sister and I argued a lot, but I guess most kids do that. Anyway, these early years were mostly just school and sitting around the house trying to stay out of trouble. Okay, so that's the first paragraph, which should be an introductory paragraph. And there is a few things in it that don't make it a very good introductory paragraph, but we'll get back to those in a bit here. Let's just read through the whole essay and get everything in context here. In elementary school, I had a couple of friends, but I didn't always get along with everybody. My best friend back then was Jason, and sometimes we would hang out after class until he was busy doing something else. High school was different because people changed, and I didn't talk to the same friends as much. I made some new ones, but then we all got busy with classes and part time jobs, so it wasn't like a close group or anything like that. Here, sorry, there were a few special events and I can remember, even if not very clearly. One time we had a family reunion and there were so many people I didn't even know who was related to who, but it was still pretty fun. Another special thing was when I won an award in grade 8, but I don't even remember exactly what it was for. I think maybe something about reading or helping out. Next paragraph. Growing up, my favorite pastimes were mostly playing video games and biking around and sometimes drawing, but I never really stuck with anything for very long. I would try different hobbies and then forget about them, but I guess that's just what kids do. I also watched a lot of movies, probably too many. One trip I remember going on was when my family drove to Winnipeg, but the drive felt really long and kind of boring, and when we got there, it wasn't quite what I expected. We also went camping once with our cousins, and it rained almost the whole time, so we mostly stayed inside the tent, which wasn't great. I've been on a couple of shorter trips with friends too, but nothing very exciting. In the community, I did a bit of volunteering, like helping at a food drive once, and then another time working at a fundraiser that my school did. But I didn't really stay involved after that. I also had a small paid job at a store for a while, but it wasn't very interesting and I didn't learn as much as I probably should have. There were people I looked up to growing up, like my uncle, who always seemed calm about everything. I also admired some of my teachers, especially the ones who didn't get mad easily. I kind of wanted to be more like them because they seemed to have things figured out. Some accomplishments I had over the years were passing my classes and learning to drive, and also finishing a couple of school projects that I worked hard on. I guess I also improved at talking to people, even though it still feels awkward sometimes. As for my future plans, I'm not completely sure yet. I think I want to finish school and maybe get a more stable job. I'm also thinking about moving to a different city, but I don't know when or how. I guess my plan is to figure things out slowly, one step at a time. Okay, so that is the essay, and it needs some major editing. Now, if we had somebody here with us, we could let you, the students, pinpoint those things that need editing here. But since no one has joined me, I will give you a teacher's feedback of what is good and what is missing in this essay. All right, so the student here has included information about all the 9 required areas, which is excellent. This shows good effort and a willingness to reflect on the different stages of his life. Or I could say her life, his or her life. However, their writing would benefit from stronger organization, clearer details, and more specific examples. Right now, many ideas feel vague or unfinished, and the essay reads more like a list of loosely connected thoughts than a fully developed narrative. With revision, you can turn this into a much stronger and more engaging piece of writing. So the strengths are it includes all the required topics. You addressed your early family life, friendships, special events, hobbies, trips, community involvement, role models, accomplishments, and future plans. It has an honest and personal tone. The writing feels sincere, which is important in a reflective essay. And it has some strong starting points. A few sections, such as the Winnipeg trip, camping in the rain, and looking up to your uncle, become could become excellent detailed paragraphs with a little more elaboration. All right, so the areas for improvement with this essay. The essay lacks clear paragraphing. Right now, the topics all run together. Each major each major point should be its own separate and well-developed paragraph. The introduction and conclusion need clearer purpose and stronger transitions. How do you fix this? Well, you break the essay into logical paragraphs and add topic sentences that guide the reader. The second step for improvement would be detail and development. Many ideas are mentioned but not explored. For example, my parents were usually busy. Well, doing what? Right? So you kind of leave us up in the air there. They're busy, but what were they doing? I had a couple of friends. Who were those friends? The only friend you really mention here is Jason by name in the second paragraph. What did the friends do together? I won an award in grade 8. Which award was that? And why was it meaningful to you? Right? So, more details you could give to make the story more intriguing for the reader. And then it rained the whole camping trip. Maybe you could have told us how everyone felt. What to fix? Choose the most important memories and expand them with specific examples, descriptions, feelings and reactions, short stories or moments. Right? So you're getting onto it here when you're talking about, when you went to um, the camping, right? Which paragraph was that in again? Or the trip to Winnipeg. Why was it boring? Why wasn't it quite what you expected? Right here. And then the camping you describe after that. You said it wasn't great. Why wasn't it great? Can you see now? You can just write another sentence or two to describe things like your feelings and the reactions to be being put into these circumstances. And that makes the reading much more engaging. People like to read about personal little anecdotes when you're writing because they kind of feel connected or they become more connected to the writer in that way. Also, clarity and precision. Some of the sentences here are vague or uncertain. Examples are, I guess it was pretty normal. Or, I don't remember very well. Or, nothing very exciting. And I think maybe something about reading. This type of writing seems uncertain and it weakens the writing. To fix it, you have to be more confident and specific. If you're unsure, choose one detail and explain it clearly. But these type of vague or uncertain phrases end up just as being filler. They don't really say anything at all, except that you're uncertain. The voice and style. Writing often, the writer here often uses filler phrases like I guess, anyway, or something like that. Probably too many. These filler phrases, that's just about what they do. They fill up space and they don't really say too much. Continuing on now with grammar and flow. Some sentences are long, repetitive, or run on. Others are too short or choppy. How do you fix this? You combine short, related sentences and break long sentences into two clear ideas. Okay? So, right here in the community, I did a bit of volunteering, like helping at a food drive, and then another time working at a fundraiser that my school did, but I really didn't stay involved after that. Okay, so this sentence um, is a tad too long and hard for the reader to follow along, and might be best broken here at this comma. So we had a we've had a few exercises earlier on in the unit on how to use different types of clauses, right? And how to combine them effectively. Generally, we want one main clause in a sentence and then another subordinate clause to give us some kind of information on what's happening in the sentence. Now, um, let's see. Okay, so next we have a document here that describes how we can revise each paragraph in this essay. And let me bring this up to scope here. There we go. Oh, perfect. So, number one, early family life. The weak version is I grew up in a pretty normal family, I guess. My parents were always busy, but they tried their best. I don't remember a lot of when I was really young, but I know we did stuff like go to the park or visit relatives sometimes. So the sentences that need the most improvement here are pretty normal family, I guess. This is vague and it adds nothing to the writing. My parents were usually busy, but they tried their best. This is unclear. What were they busy with? I don't remember a lot, which is a weak opening and it doesn't move the story forward. We did stuff like go to the park, which is vague and needs details. So here's a stronger revised paragraph. I grew up in a supportive family where both of my parents worked long hours, right? So that's the reason right there. They were working long hours, but they always made time for me in the evenings. Some of my earliest memories come from simple weekend traditions like walking to the park near our apartment or visiting my grandparents for big family dinners. All right, so we get into some description here, some description of the important memories that refer to family life growing up. Even though my parents were busy, I always felt cared for, and those small routines shaped my sense of comfort and belonging at home. Why does the version I just read work better? It removes vague language like pretty normal and I guess and stuff like. Adds specific examples like walking to the park and family dinners. It creates a clear tone and mood and explains what the family relationship actually felt like. The second paragraph, friends in elementary high school. The weak version is I had a couple of friends in elementary school, but I don't remember their names now. In high school, I hung around with different people and we mostly just talked or played video games. What needs some improvement here? I don't remember their names now. This is kind of weak and distracting, right? Remember, you have to be clear and have a strong voice. Different people. That phrase, different people, that's vague as well. Mostly talk to play video games is bland with no detail. So, what did you talk about? Right? What was the main topics of discussion? Or what were the video games that you played? Here's a stronger revised version of that paragraph. In elementary school, I was close with a small group of classmates who made recess something to look forward to every day. Yeah, I can remember back in grade school how much fun recess was. I can still remember the things that we used to do there. Right, the one, what grades would that be? We played coins and cards, right? Like hockey cards, we would um, have games where we would shoot cards, and whoever could get closest to the wall would win. And we played that all recess. What grade would like that be? Grade 7 or 8 or something, maybe. Also, they had these little coins that used to come in Jello boxes, right? They're little discs, right? We'd shoot those as well. And then we played baseball a lot, I guess, and get into all kinds of trouble. I could tell you stories, but anyways, there's a lot of things that an old guy like me can still remember about high school, or not high school, grade school, when I let myself muse about the past. So this stronger revised paragraph works because it adds more specific memories, shows growth from elementary to high school. Now that's a pretty good ad there by, the first part here is talking about elementary school and then high school in um, three sentence or two sentences later. Specific events remembered. Paragraph 3. Some special events I remember are my birthday parties or my cousin's wedding and things like that. Things like that is an empty phrase. It's basically a waste of space. Once again, you can think of specific things, specific details that you could add to your story here. So the sentence here looks like a list, but doesn't have any details. So here's a stronger version of that paragraph. One of the special events I remember most clearly is my cousin's wedding, where my entire family gathered for the first time in years. I was asked to carry the rings, and I remember feeling both nervous and proud as I walked down the aisle. The celebration, after, full of music, dancing, and laughter, left a lasting impression on me and became one of my happiest memories of childhood. Okay, so here's a very succinct, terse, and also terse, right? There's no superfluous words, empty phrases, and it really nicely describes this event in the past, one um, at the cousin's wedding, because it left a lasting impression on the writer. So it focuses on one meaningful event instead of something vague like birthday parties. It adds emotion, description, and a sense of importance to this special event. And when you write about just birthday parties, when it just seems, yes, just that, it's very vague. And the reader just can't get interested in that. Favorite pastimes growing up? The weak version is from the original. I like to play outside and watch TV a lot. I also played sports sometimes, but not very seriously. Sentences that need the most improvement are with the phrase watch TV a lot, which is too vague. You should be able to remember what you liked watching. The next one is sometimes, but not very seriously, which is weak phrasing. Um, it really doesn't say too much. Sometimes, but not very seriously. Here's a stronger revised paragraph. When I was younger, most of my free time was spent riding my bike through the neighborhood or inventing games with kids next door. I loved exploring the small forest behind our house, pretending it was a secret world only we knew about. Although I tried a few sports like soccer and baseball, I mostly enjoyed having the freedom to play outside and let my imagination lead the way. Why this new version works better. It replaces vague phrases with descriptive, engaging activities, and it shows personality and creativity. The next item on the agenda is a trip taken with family or friends. The week version, we went to Winnipeg once and it rained the whole time. We always went camping a few we also went camping a few years later. There's no detail about Winnipeg here at all, right? What did you do in Winnipeg? Was it just a washout because it rained all the time? And the camping part lacks description. Here's a stronger version. One of the most memorable trips my family took was to Winnipeg, even though it rained almost nonstop. Instead of letting the weather ruin the trip, we explored museums, watched movies in the hotel, and ate at small local restaurants. Well, yeah, there we get some real cool information on what you did and why it was memorable. Why did you even remember it, right? Why did you write it down? Because it was a memorable trip. A few years later, we went camping in northern Ontario where the rain followed us again. But that time, we made the best of it by telling stories around the fire under a tarp. Those trips taught me that the people you're with matter more than the weather. All right, so this shows growth and meaning. It adds detail and humor. Once again, these are things like that people really like, that they find intriguing about reading and exploring who you are. Community involvement. From the week version, I volunteered a bit, helping out at events, and once I got paid to help clean a yard. The sentences that need the most improvement are a bit, which is vague, right? I volunteered a bit. Hmm. How much is a bit? No one knows. The events are unnamed. It'd be interesting, or would be interesting in readers to know what events you volunteered at. It seems to have a lack of purpose or personal reflection. Here's the stronger revised version. My first experiences with community involvement came from helping at local school events, such as organizing tables at the fall fair and assisting younger students during activity days. Later, I earned my first paycheck by helping a neighbor clean up their yard after a storm. These experiences taught me responsibility and helped me feel more connected to people in my community. This version is better because it shows specific events and connects actions to lessons learned. The next paragraph then is people looked up to. All it really says in that paragraph is I looked up to my uncle because he worked hard. The sentences are too short, there's no detail or examples again. Here's how you can rewrite it to make it more entertaining to read. I've always looked up to my uncle, who has been a constant example of patience, hard work, and humility. Even when he faced challenges, he never complained and always made time to help others, whether fixing a neighbor's car or supporting relatives during difficult times. His ability to stay steady under pressure is something I admire and hope to develop in myself. And this new revised paragraph really adds character details to the writer. It shows why the uncle is admirable because of all of his qualities. His constant example of patience, hard work, and humility. Accomplishment over the years, I won an award in grade 8 and passed my classes and stuff like that. Stuff like that is, once again, that's one of these vague statements that are meaningless and just filler. The award that you won is unclear. We're not sure what award you won or what you won it for, and there's no reflection. How did you feel about that? Here's a stronger revised paragraph. One accomplishment I'm proud of is receiving the Grade 8 Citizenship Award, which recognized students who helped create a positive school environment. hmm In high school, I continued to work hard academically and saw steady improvement in my writing and organizational skills. These achievements showed me that dedication pays off even when progress feels slow. This newer version adds clarity and makes achievement meaningful, right? Because you tell us what was the result of your achievements. Plans for the near future. In the weak version, we say, "I'm totally sure, but I want what I want to do. I'm not totally sure what I want to do. Maybe something with trades, or maybe something else. Maybe something else is unclear. You're not really giving us any information here. It just seems like you have no goals at all." Here's a stronger revised paragraph. In the near future, I hope to explore a trade school such as carpentry or electrical work, since I enjoy hands-on tasks and solving practical problems. I also want to continue developing my communication skills and gaining work experience so I can make informed decisions about my career path. Now, look at that sentence, eh? That's a compound sentence here. Even though I don't have everything figured out yet, I still feel motivated to keep moving forward and learn as much as I can. This version works better because it provides direction, shows confidence, and purpose. So we'll finish off by looking at the polished version. So, growing up, and yes, we should have just enough time to finish it up here. Growing up, my early family life played a huge role in shaping who I am today. Well, let me increase the size of this for you. There we go. I spent most of my childhood in a small but lively town where there was always noise, laughter, and movement. My parents encouraged curiosity, and they made sure my siblings and I learned responsibility early, from helping with chores to being honest when we made mistakes. Even though things were occasionally chaotic, I felt supported, and those early years taught me the importance of kindness and perseverance. Friendships become just as important as family once I entered school. In elementary school, so this is a connection, right? This topic sentence connects with the previous paragraph, right? Because we're talking about friendships now, but we refer to the importance of family, which we were just discussing. In elementary school, I spent most of my time with a small group of friends who shared my love for playing outdoors and making up stories during recess. By high school, my friend group changed, but the relationships grew deeper. We bonded over music, late night conversation, and the challenges of growing up. One memory that stands out, okay, so we're getting into some descriptive detail here. One memory that stands out is the time we stayed after school to decorate the gym for a fundraiser. It wasn't the decorations that mattered, but the feeling of working together and realizing we truly supported one another. So, really, here you are reflecting on your feelings and those things that you obtained from your relationships in high school. Next paragraph, certain casual events from childhood still stand out clearly. One of them was my grade 8 graduation, where I realized for the first time that life was starting to change. Another was a family birthday celebration where nearly everybody I loved was in the same room. These moments felt meaningful, not because of the ceremony of the gifts, but because they marked turning points, times when I paused and recognized how lucky I was to have the people around me. So there is some more important development and learning and growth. Growing up, I had several favorite pastimes that filled my afternoons and weekends. I loved reading adventure books, playing sports with friends, and spending long evenings drawing. These activities became a way for me to relax and express myself. Looking back, they also helped me build confidence and discover interests that still matter to me today. One of the most memorable trips I ever took was a family vacation to the West Coast. We spent the week visiting beaches, walking through forests, and exploring small towns. I remember standing by the ocean for the first time and realizing how big the world really is. That trip sparked my interest in travel and made me appreciate the time I spent with my family. Community involvement has also played an important role in my life. Okay, so this is another topic sentence, but with that transitional reference to the important things in my life, the meaningful things in my life. I volunteered at local events, helped run activities at school, and eventually took on small jobs such as babysitting and fundraising and assisting with fundraisers. These experiences taught me responsibility, patience, and how to communicate with people of different ages. They also helped me to feel connected to the community around me. Along the way, I have looked up to several people who have influenced my growth. My parents have always been role models, but I have also been inspired by teachers and coaches who believed in me even when I doubted myself. Their encouragement pushed me to challenge myself both academic and personally. As a result, I'm proud of several accomplishments I've achieved over the years. All right, so there's our transitional phrase, as a result. Whether it was improving my grades, learning new skills, or finishing a challenging project, each achievement reminded me that effort pays off. Some moments were small, but they each contributed to my sense of confidence and directions. So we're almost getting into a summary type of paragraph here with this last paragraph I read. And then looking ahead, I plan to continue building on everything I've learned so far. In the near future, I hope to I hope to further my education, explore a possible career path, and continue to developing my skills. I also want to find opportunities to contribute to my community in meaningful ways. No matter what the future brings, I hope to stay open to new experiences and remain committed to growing as a person. Okay, so that's a very polished level 4 essay here. And you notice that the student doesn't repeat words over and over again. He or she has gone to the thesaurus and looked for other words that give more vivacity to her writing. Um, all the paragraphs are broken down very nicely into different sections of the the students or the importance and meaningful things in their life. Anyways, that's all we have to cover for today. I hope that you might have found this little exercise helpful.